And we're back on MITech TV. I'm Mike Brennan, and my co-host is Matt Roush. And we also have, well, the whole show today, in fact, is focused on cybersecurity because this is Cyber Awareness Month. And so we're going to have a potpourri of guests in, starting with David Behen, the former Michigan CIO who helped Governor Snyder. Yeah, started this in 2011. I can do it. So let's go to David. One of the reasons, well, many reasons, but one of the reasons I wanted to get him on the show was the fact that he and the Governor Snyder created this whole thing 11 years ago now. So let's talk about the history of that, will we, David?
Yeah, it's great. Well, first of all, Mike and Matt, it's great to see you guys again, and thanks for having me. It's always an honor to be on this show. I can tell you that. Yeah, so we did start this back in 2011, and it was, it was wonderful because, Michigan, in many things that it does, was kind of leading the way. And, back in 2011, Governor Snyder approached me in actually February of 2011 and said, we need to bring together public, private, business, education, nonprofit organizations together to talk about cybersecurity because he knew it was going to be a priority in his administration. And, Michigan at that time had already had a really good team. Ken Tice was there, Dan Lorman. I mean, they had some really good people there who were really doing some good stuff. And we just were able to, we took it and we made it a priority and we really started to move it forward. So yeah, that was back in 2011. And, I'm really pleased to see, the new administration, the administration after Governor Snyder, Governor Whitmer, that they've moved it forward too. And so I'm excited to see it still going and going strong. I know COVID kind of threw a curveball at us, but let me put it this way. Cyber's throwing a curveball at us every day. So I'm excited that it's still going.
All right. So what is it that you think that makes the summit special or unique? I mean, a lot of states certainly have cybersecurity efforts, but what makes the Michigan event special?
Well, first of all, because it's in Michigan, right? Secondly, we named it the North American International Cyber Summit for a couple of reasons. One is we wanted that name brand, and that helped. But the other thing is we bring in folks from all over the world for this. I mean, we had people we have organizations and the governments from Israel, from Latvia, from the UK, from Canada, and the list goes on. And we did that because we wanted not only to talk about cybersecurity, what's going on in Michigan, but we wanted to talk about what's going on in the nation and across the world. And so that's one of the pieces that makes it special. The other pieces are, there's the Michigan Cyber Civilian Corps, which is going strong today. We created that back in 2012. And that's where we asked volunteers from our private sector partners, our education partners, and our nonprofit partners to bring in folks to help small and medium-sized organizations when they have an incident. And we were the first state to do that. And it's still going strong. I'm glad to see it growing. And so that makes it special. That group gets together at that. Also, we have the Michigan High School Challenge, which is awesome, right? Let's engage young kids in cybersecurity. And so those are some of the things that makes it really special. And I think the fact that it's in Detroit, it brings in the education, the nonprofit, the private sector, the public sector all together for an afternoon, an evening, and a full day. I mean, it really is important that we have these dialogues, and now more than ever. And so, Michigan, it's special because you get such a good audience as well.
And if I recall back in those days, and you probably still are, you were the number 2 ranked cybersecurity state behind, I think, Maryland, because Maryland's got all those cyber guys there working with the feds, right?
Yeah, I mean, Maryland always had a good reputation because of their location, but truth be told, Michigan was held up as the model by the National Governors Association because of our incident response plan. We created the National Governors Association Cyber Resource Center with Governor O'Malley from Maryland. And those are the things that kind of held Michigan up because, we made it, we went back in the day, we became the first state to have a chief security officer where you merged cyber and physical. And again, Dan Lorman was our first one when we did that. But yeah, Michigan has always been held. I mean, this is a funny one. If you go to the National Governors Association, even today, they'll still say the things that, how you run your program, they call it the Michigan model. And it's because of the great work of all the administrations working together and doing some really good stuff.
All right. So describe to me, if you could, the unique challenges, I guess, of a state government facing, I would imagine pretty much constant attack from various bad actors trying to get into your information, either just for the laughs or lulz or, for more nefarious purposes.
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it, Matt. Think about all the data the state of Michigan has on our individuals, right? Think about the critical systems we're running for the health and safety of our citizens. Think about the infrastructure that our Department of Corrections or the Michigan State Police have. Those are all run by technology now, and it's a complicated business. And so the bad guys, they really don't discriminate. Right, they're going to see that if there's open doorways, they're going to go in, and so state government has a real challenge. But that's why it was so important back when I was the state CIO that we worked with the private sector and we worked with the nonprofits and education institutions, because getting all of us to work together. We used to laugh a lot about this, and we say it all the time. Cyber is a team sport, and we all had to be working together. And I think Michigan still leads the way in that.
Speaking of Dan Lorman, we tried to get him on the show today as well, but he was tied up. But one of the things he said the last time we interviewed him, or maybe it was Richard, I can't remember which, but they were saying people don't get religion about cybersecurity until they're hacked. And then suddenly they get it, right? That's really the challenge is people have to take this seriously, because some of the very best people in cyber are the bad guys because they can make so much money, right?
Yeah, no, it's you have to be proactive, and that's and Dan and Richard Steinen, I think you're talking about,
yeah,
right? Yeah. It is. A lot of people get religion after the breach. Well, guess what? It's a little bit too late, and you really have to be proactive. You have to focus on education awareness, and quite honestly, you have to start funding cybersecurity like you fund HR, like you fund IT, like you fund finance. It's a critical part of your business now, and it has to be funded. And small and medium-sized organizations face the same threat as large organizations. And this is a chronic condition. It's not going away, but there's things we can do to help manage that if we kind of follow the proper cyber hygiene and follow the things that are coming out from the federal government, like CISA or the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. There's frameworks and there's education that can help you as an organization, as a company, protect yourself.
All right, so let's talk about what some of the current threats are. We hear a lot about ransomware, and that's almost always someone getting into a system because somebody clicks on something they shouldn't. There's certainly an awful lot of people making a living teaching people the right things to do in this score. So talk about that a little bit, sort of how the industry has evolved and what kind of training institutions like the state and private industry and all employers should be giving their people.
Yeah, well, first of all, Matt, you hit it on the head. Ransomware is probably the number one thing that people are going to have to be looking for. Ransomware is it's something that all organizations are facing. If you're on the internet, you have a chance of being hit by ransomware, and so it's really important that you are training and educating your organization. Education awareness, and proper cyber hygiene. It's the number is anywhere between 80 and 90. Stanford just came out with a study where it's 88%, where 88% of cyber breaches could be stopped with just appropriate cyber hygiene. And organizations, whether you're big or medium or small, should be focused on being proactive instead of reactive. And you talked about state government. They do some really good things around education and awareness. And then you talk about private sector. And I'll pivot a little bit to my company that we just started, SensCy, right? It's Sensible SensCy. It's called Sensible. Stands for Sensible Cyber for Small and Medium-Sized Organizations. And what we do is we try to get them on before the boom, right? We try to get left of boom. We try to get them proactive at the beginning, looking at whether or not they, we give them a cyber health score. It's their SensCy score, which is like a FICO score for small and medium-sized organizations, right? And then we really talk about a cyber health plan We ask if they have incident response plans. Are they doing education and awareness? Are they teaching people how to look for phishing? Because most of the bad guys are predominantly getting in through phishing. I could go on, Matt and Mike. You guys know how passionate I am about this stuff.
Yes.
And
Well,
and as a matter of fact, that's why I started our company. I brought the old team back together, right? I got Governor Snyder and Dave Kelly from the Michigan State Police, and we got the team back together to really help small and medium-sized organizations.
you got the band back together. So, and one of the things you guys offer is fractional services. I mean, because a high-powered CIO or CISO is going to command $200,000 or more salary, and small businesses just can't handle that, right? So you're doing it on a fractional basis.
Yeah, they just can't. They don't. If you think about your regular small medium-sized business, they're focused on making their product, selling their product, and really growing a great business. And they have really wonderful partners in the managed service providers who are really doing the traditional IT. What we do is we come in and we focus on cyber, just cyber. And we want to be the trusted guide for these organizations as they look at cybersecurity. And so we'll offer up those proactive services. We'll offer up the cyber education and awareness, the phishing training, the cyber alerts. We provide policies and incident response plans. So we bring all this in executive briefings and things like that, because we want small and medium-sized organizations to be protected just as much as we want the large ones too. And they're such a big part of our economy. We have to pay attention to them. And that's why, Governor Snyder and Dave Kelly and myself and another serial entrepreneur, Bhushan Kulkarni, we decided to create SensCy.
And don't forget Raj Patel.
And Raj Patel just joined us as our Chief Growth Officer from Plant Moran. And we're so thrilled to have a great team. And, it's going to be a lot of fun too. We're trying to demystify cyber, make it less scary. And that's why, Governor Snyder keeps telling us he's the acronym police. Anytime we throw an acronym out, we have a little fine we have to pay. So, because we wanted to speak to people in plain language and take scariness out of cybersecurity, because everyone has to be educated in it.
Okay, Matt. So let's ask well, they're not hiring, but certainly we have to ask if they.
We might be hiring. Why'd you say that? We might.
All right.
Might be hiring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's the question. We started when we started this podcast these many years ago. The job market was not what it is now, which is red hot, and a lot of people were looking for work, and there were even pink slip parties going on. So we started asking everybody, with a new company that we had on the show, are you hiring right now? And if so, for what skill sets? So I'm going to ask that question of you. It doesn't sound like you are at this immediate moment, but you might be soon. Is that correct?
We actually are. We are hiring right now 2 positions. We're hiring a client advocate, which is a person who, when we sign a new client, they have to have a little bit of a cyber background, cyber certificate or something. And then that person's assigned to our clients, and they're to do the touch points, and they're going to help them with their cyber health plans. That's one position. The other position is we're hiring a marketing position. And that's someone who's going to help us kind of with our social media and our presence on social media and some of the other marketing tasks. And then finally, we're always hiring interns. And so we had actually over 500 interns apply for our first internship role. And we look forward to getting more of that young talent in, because no better place to be in Michigan than in a cybersecurity startup right now. A lot of growth there.
And where might one apply to SensCy?
So they should go right to www.senscy.com, and that's SENSCY.com. And or they can just quite honestly, hit me up on LinkedIn. Hit me right up, David Behen, Behen. Just hit me up and let's have a conversation, because this is something that we not only as a cyber community need to talk about. This is something we as a full community, government, education, business, nonprofits, we all need to talk about cybersecurity going forward.